All right, welcome everyone with Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
That time I got reincarnated as a slime, Season 2, Episode 21.
All right,
The invasion.
Episode, we had a full triple on just fight. And now all those are resolved.
Yep, went pretty well.
Went really well. Probably one of the best live episodes we've seen in a while. Really good time. And now that there were so many little magical mechanics involved there, we know a little bit as to what the rest of the crew that's infiltrating the castle are going to be dealing with. They got a necromancer.
They got a necromancer there that was potentially someone that would be able to turn the whole fight around in the previous episode if they'd been able to show up. So that could be a problem.
Right. And given that was primarily about them resurrecting the army that they were dealing with, I think they're going to be neutered a bit in the castle.
Yeah, it won't be at the same level, but still definitely something that they'll have to work around.
Right. But then all this is happening. Rimuru is prepping to actually go to the summons.
The Walpurgis,
Love to see a little bit of that this episode, maybe concurrently with all the conflict stuff going on, unless he's wanting it to be resolved exactly right before he shows up, so that he has no, conflicts or any kind of problems that could shift things in the favor of this fake ass Dio. Yeah, exactly. Hence my t-shirt.
Nice,
exactly.
Nice choice.
But y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. All right, that was a great episode. That was wonderful. We had 3 really awesome things happen. We have a really fantastic magic fight.
Yep.
We had a very fast-paced, just overall encounter in terms of combat, all
great.
handled within 2/3 of the episode, basically.
That's probably my favorite bit from the episode that I didn't expect.
Yeah.
Because mechanically, why would the summoner go out with his summoned army? I figured he was going to be at the heart of the castle, and then it's we have to fight through a slog of endless enemies in order to get to the caster and, take him out so that way the army goes away, right?
Well, that's not exciting.
Nope, that's not exciting. And also, because of why this person is here,
they're bound to this land. Effectively,
they're bound to this
their
land.
phylactery. They could not die as long as this land curse connected them.
So it's which is also just wonderful, because it's another way to show that Cromwell is not actually strong himself. Clayman. That's right. Yeah. Clayman is not actually strong himself. He just positioned his fortress.
He just steals people.
Right. He's just there's this lich here with an undead army and stuff. Cool. I'll just put my castle on the other side of this tiny little divot of land, so that people have to go through the lich's territory in order to get to me. And I'll just be you kind of work for me, by extension, if you think about it. Even though I don't actively necessarily control you.
Right. What probably is that there's some kind of individual ways in which he can,
exert
manipulate or exert influence.
Because there was the possibility of him being reinforcements for the army, but I love that as just another way to show that Clayman is very much propped up on a bunch of dry sticks.
Yes.
And that those sticks are crumbling and burning and falling out from under him, and he doesn't even know it yet.
Very quickly. He has no idea that that's the case.
Yep.
This is all happening effectively simultaneously. This is all something that is happening because this is Rimuru and our main character's active choices involved in this. We are seeing very much the consequences of not just Rimuru's actions playing out, but also the ways in which all of his comrades have gotten stronger over the course of these 2 seasons.
Yep.
So the idea of being a demon lord is not just you get to attend the special feast and stuff like that, but all your friends and stuff like that are also then able to make great changes happen wherever they go, meaning that their abilities, their influence in the story goes up. And because this is a wholesome as fuck show a lot of the times, even though it can get into some pretty dark, intense stuff, when we beat our enemies in this show, we knock them the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
So
because why not?
Now we've got a whole-on necromancer with a skeleton horde, and I love that it was very much the casters were the ones that did the real battle. The marshals protected the ones while they casted all the shit. That's a very simple way to handle this, to turn it into a one-on-one. But then at the end of it, both sides felt competent because, like you said, the Necromancer's decision wasn't a dumb one to come out here. Nope. And then also the Marshal's decision to handle the Death Knight and the undead Death Dragon also wasn't a mistake. Right. So it just ended up being this really wholesome compliment fest of them being like, but also we got really arrogant by letting us basically walk into the trap and being like, right, we were handling this.
This could have gone very bad.
Because Shuna specifically was the one that noticed it was a trap and didn't say anything. Was just like, okay, obviously,
wait a minute, yeah,
we walked into a trap, but she's like, no, I'm so confident in my abilities, but also I'm so incensed that I have to be here doing all this stuff when I could be, helping him right now.
And if Clayman was maybe a bit smarter about this, he wouldn't necessarily, if they saw, an attack coming potentially, right? Maybe you don't just rely on one of your pawns in order to get shit done, right? Like they, that's what, 2 fingers now that we've dealt with, right? But what if you just had the other fingers, wherever they are, also be there, right? Then theoretically this could have gone a different way, but you didn't. So sucks to suck, get good.
It might literally just be that the 2 strongest ones were here and the others
wouldn't have helped too much.
Yeah, because I remember that the Arthas wannabe with his Frostmourne sword.
Right.
He was not one of the stronger ones though.
Of the fingers, I think he might have actually been the strongest.
Oh, okay.
Which is very satisfying if you think about it, because then that kind of implies that, like, wait a minute, Milim really is the only thing keeping Clayman propped up. I'm pretty sure many people in Rimuru's retinue could kick Clayman's ass,
right?
If he didn't have Milim to protect him,
right.
So it's just like, he's this guy that's like surrounded by a bunch of other powerful people. It's the rich kid that's like, I paid off the school bullies, right?
Yes, and that's actually a great way to describe it.
So it's the
Clayman is the guy that bought the services. Sorry, rented the services of some really powerful people, and time's almost up.
Yeah,
time's almost up.
And
you know what this reminds me of?
What?
Do you remember in Star Wars: The Old Republic?
Ooh.
When you're the Sith Inquisitor.
Wait, Sith Inquisitor. Okay.
Or the Sith Warrior. And you meet the Dark Council, the Sith Council. And you show up, and both of your masters in both of those stories at the end are like, this guy.
Oh, yeah.
I need you to get rid of him for me. Kill him.
And it's just like, no.
And they're just like, no. I 100% think that's what's going to happen here.
What's that smell?
That smells like bitch.
It smells like a little bitch, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because all of these people here look pretty serious, and even if there's scales of seriousness where we have like, hidden vampire maid who's thousands and thousands of years old, even though she's not the oldest. Then we have Guy Crimson, who's even older than them, and then Milim as well.
Cromwell just sort of seems regular.
Right, Cromwell's just like, I'm
a guy with a good poker face, and I know not to,
I'm a low A tier demon lord, I'm not I'm not in the S tier class. I know what I'm about. I do summons and shit. I'm advancing the world of magic, but
and deep cut here that probably none of you guys will get. But I've played Age of Empires. You don't build your wonder first. If you do that, you get torn down. You just go slow and steady and let everyone forget about you, So it's like, hey, there you go. You're working it, man. I like it.
He's on the grind set, but he's not as ostentatious or audacious as Clayman to basically try and think that he's bigger than what he is.
Right, and taunt people into taking him out.
He just goes and has a nice diplomatic conversation with the strongest of them and kind of keeps himself well connected and on the good sides of all the important people.
And then takes the one that actually had the biggest beef with him, that is the upstart and might also be potentially really strong and, someone to worry about. And it's like, hey, I know you got issues with me. Let's talk. And maybe this is a trap, but come on. Like,
I mean, in a lot of ways, he probably at this point knows what Rimuru is.
He probably knows what Rimuru is, but also like, yes, absolutely. But also like, I feel like a trap isn't Cromwell's style, or if it is, it's one that you won't see coming. If you wonder whether or not this is a trap, no, it's not a trap, right? Like, he wouldn't be so.
This would be more of a trap than anything.
Exactly, right.
Just the idea that they probably have the magic capable to keep you here at Rimuru. Like, if this came down to a Clayman,
You called this. What's it about?
Yeah. Or like he's like, well, Rimru's a problem and stuff. Then they have like a might makes right. You need to fight. And then Clayman will just be like, well, I have Milim fight for me.
And then Guy's like, no.
Like, I honestly would like to see the moment where someone kind of talks down to Clayman a little bit. And then Clayman is like, Milim? And then she like starts speaking and like, like gets everyone to shut up for a second. Because I would like to see Clayman have a little bit of confidence so that we can have him come crashing down really fucking hard.
Because he's making his peacock display here.
And then has some kind of little like three-tailed fox thing. That
I didn't even notice that.
You didn't notice it? It was like glowing and.
I don't really pay much attention to Clayman. I'm just like, oh yeah, whatever. That little punk. It's just whatever.
It was great.
But like, I can just already see the moment when he's all like, yes, I can bitch smack Milim and she won't do anything and she takes orders from me and I have Carrion here and the other demon lord lady that's super sexy and everything. And then Rimru's just like, Frey, yeah, Frey, that's right. Yeah, that's cool and everything, but your army and your fortress are all gone.
I have them.
All your stuff outside of here is it doesn't exist anymore. It's mine. Wait, what? Yeah. You're bluffing. Maybe. Sure. Yeah. Feel free to believe that if you want.
Do you want to do something about it?
Right. Exactly. Like, and then it's just, and suddenly, sweat drop. He starts to squirm and he looks around at the other demons as they chuckle.
I honestly want to see the voice actor pop off because obviously it's Dio voice acting Clayman, but it's just the amounts of ways you can have that actor scream and maniacally like
ham it up and crack
and yes, and then also crack and break. Yes, there's so much they can do there. But yes, given that this is something that's been built up for quite a while, the pomp, the flair, the intensity of it, I really like. I also am really liking the narrow ground that the show is having to walk of introducing potentially too many really powerful people by really focusing on the fact that we know in some ways more than Rimuru knows right now. So we, by the nature of having things like one of my favorite parts this season as well was the Cromwell and Guy conversation.
Yeah.
Like that bit there set this up really well so that when Rimuru kind of hears about him, it's the, we actually know quite a bit about his character and stuff,
Yeah, in a lot of ways that probably makes it easier. Like, even though there was time spent outside of this to set up these other characters, I could still see it being something that saves time because then when they interact with Rimuru, it can be in a lot more shorthand stuff, and Rimuru might get little bits and pieces of like relevant information, but then because we got the stuff outside of that, we can kind of take these two different things and like add them together and get something that's greater than the sum of its parts.
Right. Like this is not the kind of meeting where everyone's going to be constantly talking their titles out loud.
Exactly.
And like, I am the so-and-so of so-and-so and so-and-so, and I would like to blah, 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 blah. Well, I of so-and-so and so-and-so. No, I think
Clayman might do that, but none of the others will.
Yeah, I don't even think Clayman will do that. I think they're going to just start immediately talking about like what shit they want, what shit's important, and then it's the, okay, who are the non-participants versus the active participants versus the like kind of just listening, Right. Like the people that are just like, interesting, because I do feel like what they've kind of done here is they've set up like 2 or 3 really strong, ones here, but then they've kind of set up this middle group of demon lords where it's like, you don't necessarily think anything of them, but it's like, well, wait a minute. Those are all people
they're all demon lords still.
Those are all people with kingdoms or rulerships or lands or something. It's, this is a world, right?
Cromwell
world.
is not the kind of person that can just say, we're going to do this and have everyone follow. But at the same time, it would be folly to underestimate him. Yeah. So, that's a great backdrop and context and foundation for this whole situation and how tense it might be. One of the other things that I think is really interesting here is that even though Clayman is the one who called this meeting to order, right, because he's got a bunch of other demon lords, in his retinue, the people who actually brought them here were all Guy's people. So, like,
who at least one of the maids was on the level of Diablo, bringing up the idea that they're also some kind of high-level primordial entities of, just who knows what they are. I just love the maid being this disarming thing of like, come And it's like, oh shit, yes ma'am.
right, exactly. And they're just one of the people that works for Guy. And if since this is our first Walpurgis that we're actually going to see, we'll get to see exactly how it goes down, given the different power levels and acknowledgments of those power levels of the different players here. So if Guy ends up being someone that is very much like steering this ship, which given how it started, I could see that happening, that
you need a moderator.
Interesting. Yeah, you need a moderator for sure, especially with the number of egos in the room. But
that could be interesting where it's this space is maybe owned by him. So it's the thing of where it's not always in this space.
Right.
But it's the one that's maybe the oldest and most convenient. And then there's a possibility that, they don't always do it in this place or space. But I do love that they literally gated themselves through dimensional space into an area that also looks like a pocket dimension, meaning there's no way anyone can leave here without effectively probably the maids and the hosts leave.
And this is where I could see maybe some of the logic of how these things end up working so well. Is maybe it's because it's Guy specifically, maybe it's just you have the general strongest demon lords that also make sure that this is a thing of there will be enforced rules essentially,
no
even casting,
if it's no crazy shit,
or at the very least just know that
or...
if you start shit you won't be able to get away, right? Like that's how we have that sort of mutual understanding. Yes, could it turn into a bloodbath where we all decide to start killing each other or whatever?
Probably,
sure,
yeah.
But looking around the room you can probably tell who'd still be there at the end of it, right?
Right. And I also just love the idea of this being something where, Clayman is potentially wanting like political power.
Oh yeah, because he's coming in with 4 votes.
Right. Like the idea that it's not even really a physical contest, but it's going to be one of words. I feel like also is something where Clayman feels like he could be actually a potential threat because we don't know what his angle will be. We know probably what his desires a little bit will be, but by then extension, we know nothing of the angle of like 80% of the people in this room.
Right. And to be fair, they don't have to have one because they didn't call the meeting.
Right. They can be patient and just observe and be like, okay,
their angle
we'll see
is
where
something
the chips fall wherever we want to.
Right. They've been pushing for it over the course of centuries. So this meeting in the grand scheme of things doesn't mean too much,
Well, it probably means a lot in that it was called at all.
Right. And from someone like Clayman.
Right. But it's probably that, this is probably Clayman's first as well.
Right. And so it's like, cool, you made a flashy entrance.
Good. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, also, we have some other new people here. Rimuru, would you like to introduce yourself and your attendance or something? And,
exactly, because that is one of the other things of like they gave him the invitation because it's like, okay, you're claiming to be a demon lord and you seem to be able to back it up fairly well, but let's see how you actually talk the talk when you're in a room with us.
And that is something that Rimuru, you do need to be a little bit concerned about, is that they could call you out on your shit a little bit.
Maybe listen to Raphael a bit more and don't interrupt them quite as much because I get the feeling their little words of wisdom will be very helpful here.
And they're a full-on entity at this point. This isn't just some kind of little, helpful video game narrator
with
here.
a quirky personality. I mean,
This
is
this is a full-on, divine being almost right now.
Everybody watching this is like, they're so off in the weeds. No, it's just a funny little thing. And it's like, no, we can see it. It's foreshadowing for like the very end of the show. Raphael will ascend and become a god. And then
Raphael's stuff was connected to some aspects of the ways that the world works and stuff like that. So we'll see. But also just really sweet little goofy moment was I loved that the necromancer was so like Rimuru-sama, yes, like with the eyes and everything. But then following that, before preceding that with the whole bit of a monster that can cast holy magic.
Yeah,
like
that was great.
I loved that because it was just this moment of oh, right. Yeah. There would be no logic to her being incapable of doing that.
But at the same time, but that's illegal. like, wait, you're technically right, but hang on. Huh, I've never thought about that before.
But then it being the thing of where okay, fine. Well, then I should try it too. I'm
Yep.
gonna cast the spell that the paladin girl tried to cast.
Friggin' Final Fantasy Sakaguchi.
Yeah.
Hinata
exactly.
Sakaguchi.
Hinata Sakaguchi. Right.
Yep.
And it was just like oh fuck, that's the spell. That's the spell.
That's the spell. And it's like, oh yeah, why would someone stand still while someone is prepping a 20-second channel ultimate devastation thing? Maybe because they have a plan for it.
Yeah.
And they want you to cast that spell.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
That combined magic with Shuna's magic then being used to break the curse.
Yep.
I thought was like a very also just efficient way to be like, yeah, let's just end this and move on. As we get into more and more high level stuff, one of the worries I get in anime like this is that they'll actually slow down the combat to try and explain things too much. And no, this show handles most of the time the combat, especially the spell casting side of things, so beautifully well that it's just like, I'm just getting to see my high fantasy anime with really ridiculous spell casting. I mean, it is an isekai, but
right.
I mean, it's so beautiful.
Yep.
I love it.
And I wanna point out something. I believe, from what I can tell, this is our first true full caster on full caster battle that we've gotten. Because even in like some of the other fights that we've had, like say with Snake Lady versus Frostmourne guy,
Rimuru's kind of had some fights like that.
Right, but it's oftentimes it's still like the magic that is very useful to supplement the more straightforward martial combats and things like that.
He's been encountering more monsters as well.
Right. So I was very happy to see something of just two people just standing there and just being like, I do my thing at you, Like that was just
I
that was
appreciate
great.
that as well. But yeah, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below. For our Patreon, you can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out my Persona 5 Royal Let's Play on Twitch right now. But yeah, if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
Next time.